Very quickly, there are certain statements or rather regulations that you've issued as we go to the election. One of them we saw in the by-elections is that you, part of is it under the Act you're saying that political parties should not campaign using regalia of candidates or people who are later. We want clarity on that. More recently, last week, you also issued a statement saying presidential candidates participating in elections should make sure that they now begin to submit to the Commission copies of their certificates from the Register of Societies. But we are seeing now alliances, and certainly our Constitution does provide for freedom of association and alliances. You're being now accused of overstepping, trying to disenfranchise people and their democratic and constitutional rights.
Yeah. So I think two things there. Firstly, it's to do with regalia. Yeah. So yes, the Constitution provides for freedom of association, assembly. Now, when it comes to contestation in an election, the Electoral Process Act provides for how that ought to be done. And one of the provisions is that when you are contesting, as a candidate, you have certain symbols and material that associate with a particular candidate. And that's what must be used as campaigns are made. Now, where associations and alliances are formed, they ought to be registered appropriately. And then the symbols for that alliance and so forth, could be used. But where the symbols and so on are for a totally different entity altogether, the law is very clear. All the Commission was bringing to the attention of political parties contesting is this what the law says. Adhere to it. Not targeting anyone, not everyone.
So what are you asking? What do you require? You want the alliances to go and be registered with the Register of Societies?
If you are contesting an election as an alliance, let it be registered. Okay? Let it be registered. Because if you're contesting, because when you're filing a nomination, when a candidate is filing a nomination, they indicate, is the candidate contesting as an independent or sponsored by a political party?
But what law says that, CEO? Because even in the past, let's take 2021 for example, there were alliances, and it's not the first time we're having alliances. So the UPND, as a registered political party, fielded in President Hakainde Hichilema, but other political parties rallied and campaigned alongside him because they were not on the ballot. So what is different this time around?
Nothing is different. The whole issue is that all the Commission has done is to clarify the law and just rather to inform the public what the law provides.
Which law is this we're referring to?
This is the Electoral Process Act itself.
And what does it say?
I may not quote you the exact section, okay? But the Electoral Process Act provides. So it defines campaign materials. It provides the definition of campaign materials and regulates how those campaign materials ought to be used in respect of a candidate for a campaign in an election. And that's what the Commission was clarifying to stakeholders out there participating in elections. So now, in terms of alliances, this is not the first time, like you said, that alliances, if you go back to 2006, PACs were registered and common symbols arrived at and so forth, and they participated in an election, sponsor a candidate. But the issue here is that if Costa Manza files nominations, Costa will indicate I'm standing as an independent or I'm sponsored by political party A.
But
can there be that consistency?
What is wrong? What is wrong, for example, if I am standing on the FDD ticket and I come and file in nominations under FDD as a registered political party?
Yes.
Okay. But party X, Y, and Z say they will not contest as candidates, but they will support the FDD candidate and we're in an alliance. What is wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing. I don't think that's what the Commission is saying. What the Commission is saying is this candidate has filed under FDD. And FDD has the campaign material and the symbols that are associated with FDD. use those symbols, use those materials that are associated with FDD to campaign. Others can support you.
Why can't the other parties supporting you use also their materials as a political party supporting you?
That is what the law says. The Electoral Commission is there to implement, and that's what we shared with the public. Remember, the law was not drafted by the Commission, as it were.
The Act explicitly says that a political party that says they will not participate cannot support another candidate?
No, I think we're mixing two things. We're mixing support versus using symbols and material belonging to that are different from the person that is contesting and under what ticket they're contesting.
So to get you correctly,
yeah.
We know that the MDC with President Felix Mutati is in an alliance with the UPND.
Mm-hmm.
So they cannot stand on a campaign platform wearing an MDC t-shirt while supporting President Hichilema.
They cannot distribute campaign material while in MDC and saying vote for the UPND candidate.
They cannot do that.
No,
but this is what has been happening because they refer themselves as the UPND alliance.
So what you're speaking to is enforcement. Okay, which the Electoral Commission works in collaboration with the police and other law enforcement agencies in terms of enforcement. But what we're speaking to is...
Which you've not done, and this is why the opposition are crying foul that you're being selective.
No. Spelling out what the law says is not being selective. It's stating what the law says. Okay? Enforcement is the next step now. So we've been spelling out, this is what the law says regarding symbols and campaign material. Then when it comes to enforcement, it's an item that, as we start with the education, and then we can graduate, say, now that you are aware that this is how we ought to conduct ourselves on the campaign field, can you then adhere to these provisions? So what we've done for now is merely state. So
and you're saying those provisions are in the electoral process?
Yes. In the statement that we did issue to the public, should be, I think, Section 28. Section 2 defines campaign materials, and I think it's Section 20. In the statement that we issued as the Electoral Commission, we're very explicit in terms of the actual provisions in the Electoral Process Act.
Does the law also disallow, for example, and we've seen this world over, that, for example, if UNIP says we want to continue the legacy of our founding father, KK, and they've got material with KK there who is not active on the ballot, if the PF, for example, said, or the MMD said we want to have Chiluba or Sata or Lungu, does the law disallow that?
The law just merely defines campaign material. So if those symbols and images associated are defined under that particular party or organizations, well and good.
So my final question is on this statement from last week. Just to be very clear, what are you asking parties do with the Registrar of Societies? That they should go and register their alliances?
So firstly, let me correct, there's a misconception. There was a forged statement that was issued, I think that was January 31st. And in which case we are in the process of reporting to the police. There was a forged statement to the effect that the Commission was saying, had altered the nomination requirements for presidential candidates. No, and that statement was, we issued a disclaimer, clearly, categorically saying we had never issued such a statement, and explaining to the public that the qualifications for nomination for any elective position, presidential, National Assembly, are outlined in the Constitution. And the Constitution, as it was amended on 18th December, did not change the qualifications. The only change had to do with other aspects of the Constitution. So as far as qualifications are concerned, for presidential candidates, they remain as they were. And that's what the Commission will follow when receiving the nomination papers. So the public, rest assured, if you qualify as per Constitution, you can rest assured that you submit your nominations and as has been done before, and you should be able to contest it.
So there's no credence that you're asking for certificates from the Registrar of Societies? What
has been provided for in the Electoral Process Amendment Act is really to clarify this issue, to say, which has always been there, to say, if a candidate A says that I'm being sponsored by party A, can we have documentation to show that the party has really sponsored you? We're not saying, can you demonstrate that you're a member of that party? Can you demonstrate how long? No. We're saying this particular party has sponsored a candidate, whether it's presidential or parliamentary.
So the party, you want the party to write to the ECZ?
Yes, which has always been done. The party issues an adoption.
Nothing to do with the Registrar of Societies.
It's a document from the party. Registrar of Societies to show that for me to sign as an official office bearer for that political party. Because for us to receive a document, it's the same as, for Diamond TV, Diamond Media. If for a document to be recognized as official, you have to be an office holder within this institution. So it's the same for a political party. I think the law is clear there that the Secretary General is the executive. So can the Secretary General advise?
It's nothing to do with the membership.
For the candidate, the candidate is not the issue.
If I'm being endorsed or adopted as a candidate for political party X, all you're saying is the Secretary General or the office bearer of that needs to write and clarify.
Give you an adoption certificate. So when you say write and clarify, it's like an essay and explain. It's just an adoption certificate. As Party A, we have adopted Costa Mansa as a presidential candidate. Full stop.